Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening and good morning if you're joining from another time zone. Welcome to this webinar being presented by ideaForge and Esri India. We are glad to have you join us this afternoon. We see we have healthy attendance, so I think we should kick off the proceedings in due interest of time. Just a few quick pointers to take you through as we start off the session. I'd like to run you through once more what the topic of the webinar today is. We'll be talking about how to revolutionize forest management and what the transformative role drones and GIS have in helping you achieve that. We have a few speakers present with us today. Pradeep Pandurangi, who is Senior Product Manager at ideaForge, has joined us. Samkith Bagmar from Esri India, who is Manager Drone Solutions. And we are extremely grateful to have Mr. Abhilash Damodaran, who is Chief Conservator of Forest for Himachal Pradesh Forest Department. He'll be joining us and taking us through some of the real-life use cases and applications of drones and GIS coming together in enabling transformative forest management. A quick run through of what the next hour or so has lined up for you. We'll have Pradeep start off the proceedings with an introduction to drones, followed by Samkith, who will dive deep into applications of GIS in combination with drones. And then we'll have Mr. Abhilash Damodaran taking us through a real-life case study of the applications of drones and GIS. During the course of the session, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box on your right. We will try and take them as and when during the session. Otherwise, we do have dedicated 10 to 15 minutes towards the end of the session to take on your questions. So without further ado, I would like to pass it on to Pradeep to take it on from here.
Thank you, Dhanraj, and a very good afternoon to everyone joining. So thanks, Dhanraj, once again. As I was introduced, my name is Pradeep Pandurangi, and I'm a product manager at ideaForge. Today, we are going to look at what Esri and ideaForge have been doing together for the last couple of years to really solve some of the major problems in forest management. So let me get started. I'll take only about 10 minutes because I think today we want to focus most of the discussions on the solutions and outcomes that we have been working towards. So quick brief about ideaForge for those who are not aware. ideaForge is India's largest drone manufacturing company. We have a long history of 15 years. And last year we've become a listed entity. So the first drone manufacturing company listed on the main board. That's been a big journey for us, right from inception at IIT Bombay to becoming a listed entity. And we have the largest deployment of drones in the country, primarily with the Indian Army. But now, over the last few years, we've been going much beyond that, right? So there is many more use cases for drones that are opening up on the enterprise side. And also today, what we'll be talking about, the forest use case as well. One thing before we head into the presentation wanted to highlight was that making drone hardware was where we started off. But today, drones as a equipment, it cannot stop there. So at ideaForge also, we are looking beyond just making drones. So today we make some of the world's most high performance and reliable UAVs, right? But on top of that, we have created a ground control software, that makes it extremely safe to operate these UAVs autonomously, right? Because in order to have drones scale in various applications, you cannot be dependent only on the skills of the pilot. You have to make it autonomous. It has to become seamless. So we have taken a very great hardware platform and we have made it seamless to operate and deploy. And beyond that, now we're introducing a variety of payloads. Again, this is connected to the new use cases that are coming up, right? And I will show you some of that in the following slides. Now, with various kinds of payloads, so we are going beyond video and mapping payloads. We are going to multispectral, hyperspectral, and in the future maybe synthetic aperture radars as well. Now, once you get the outcome from these payloads, you have to then process them and make meaningful insights out of them, right? So now there is a layer of solutions that we are looking towards. We are not looking to sell only hardware, but we are looking to sell together with Esri a complete forest solution. So today, what the whole presentation today is going to be about this fourth layer, right? And the fifth layer, we have also launched as POC some drone as a service programs, but probably that is for another webinar where we talk about that. So this is just to set the context about today's discussion. So coming to what we have done when we talk about forest solutions, right? The key thing is deployment across India. And here in a quick snapshot, we have shown that over the last 2 years, we have been across the country and we have spoken to a lot of forest officers and really gained insights from the field, right? Right from tracking tigers in Tadoba National Park in Maharashtra to doing forest fire detections in Bhimkal, Uttarakhand, and also helping the forest officials track a man-eating leopard in Karnataka, right? All of these use cases we have been involved in, and the solutions that we are going to talk about today, they have been derived from these real-life experiences. So what are the major challenges that we have come across, right? Man-animal conflict is one big challenge that we see with the expanding urbanization. This is becoming one of the key things. Forest fire recently in the news, you must have come across in Uttarakhand, the Air Force choppers were deployed for fire dousing operations, right? And land encroachment has been a perennial problem, right? Now, how drones can help here and how these challenges translate is that all of these monitoring activities, we're trying to kind of bunch them, right? They typically require responses in a large inaccessible area, right? A lot of these operations have to happen at night time, which can be risky. And there is always limited personnel, right, to deploy because there is so much work to do. There is a lot of data that has to be collected, right? From plantation monitoring. So there are CAMPA programs, a lot of other afforestation programs as well, where a lot of monitoring has to be done. That again takes a lot of time and effort. So how can we make that seamless, right? That is one of the other things that we've been looking at. And the final one is emergency response. So how do you quickly respond to an emergency, scan a large area, and then pinpoint where the problem is, and then maintain situational awareness, right? So this is some of the challenges that we have come across. Now talking about the solution, and we are going to keep on repeating this part, that it's not just about a drone. What is important is to understand the entire workflow. What is the right UAV platform? What is the right payload? What will be the output from it? What will be the format of that, and how that integrates into how that data will be consumed, how that integrates into the existing software that you might have, or do you need to procure some specific software that can help you make sense of the data? And with Esri, we are working very closely, like I mentioned. We are working out this entire stack, right? So when we talk about a specific problem, we will suggest the right UAV, the right payload, and also then what are the right softwares and AI/ML models to deploy so that you get a complete end-to-end workflow, right? And whatever equipment you buy, you get the maximum productivity out of it. right? Because in the end, we all want to invest in the latest and greatest assets, but if it is not used to its maximum potential, then that doesn't give a very good taste for us, right? So how do we maximize the productivity of the asset as well? This solution workflow will ensure that the asset is utilization is maximized. So what I'll do is I'll first talk about the UAV platform, that is the flagship platform of ideaForge, a little bit brief about payloads, and some of the software solutions that helps us build the link to the Esri ecosystem. And then Samkith will take over and show some of the specific use cases that we have deployed. So today I want to highlight just one of our flagship products, which is a quadcopter Q6. It comes in a very portable package. Single person can deploy this equipment, and it comes with a variety of payloads. So you see there is a daylight zoom camera, there is a thermal camera for nighttime surveillance. There is also a high resolution mapping camera, and very soon we are going to launch a LiDAR payload as well, and then we have multispectral and oblique payloads. So some of you who might have a background in GIS will already have an idea of how these different payloads could be used. And in the following slides, and Samkith will focus on how some of these outputs can be used from these payloads. So the bedrock of ideaForge and our philosophy has always focused on three things, which is performance, reliability, and autonomy. So an ideaForge drones in its weight class always gives the highest endurance, and the also deployability. So the reason that we focus so much on quadcopters is also because it can be deployed very easily in hilly areas. And we have seen that Q6 has been deployed extensively in Uttarakhand for the Swamitwa mapping program, as well as in the Himachal forest, right? So when it comes to doing terrain following very closely, maintaining the ground resolution and going into very tight and narrow spaces, quadcopters are the right answer for that. So going ahead, let's assume now you have the video coming out of the day payload, right? How do you consume that video? So for that, we made a software called Bluefire Live. Bluefire Live enables you to stream encrypted video from the ground control station to any device via the internet, right? It can be also deployed on intranet if required. And here you see that we have also integrated with ArcGIS Enterprise and Pro. So you want to do any post-mission analytics, you can do that as well, right? And the best part is it can be integrated with your VMS if you have an existing VMS, but it can be used on your iPhone, Android phone, iPad, right? So if you're on the go, you can do that as well. And the decision makers can also control the payload remotely, right? So this is one video streaming solution that we have. And the second one is called Flight Cloud. We have very recently launched this. And for anyone who has done drone-based mapping, you will know how difficult it is to manage a huge amount of data, right? So Flight Cloud essentially solves three things. First is error-free data capture. So we ensure that if you have to refly the mission for any reason, you know it immediately after doing the flight. So the geotagging and everything is super seamless. Second is the data management. So how do you take the data from the field to your processing center? You might be processing it somewhere in a different place. So how to make the data logistics very seamless? And the last one is automated workflow. So how do you take that data, process it into a map, and do some analytics on it, right? All of this with pre-verified solutions so that you don't have to go searching for the right tool, for the right model. All of that we manage and deliver to you as a solution, right? And this is where, again, Esri plays a big role in finding the right solutions, where we work together with them to give, for example, and again, we'll go more deep into this in the following slides, where we deployed this entire end-to-end solution with the Himachal Pradesh Forest Department, right? So the essential point to take away is that it's not just about the drones. You have to think about the entire workflow, and ideaForge and Esri are enabling that, whether it's your video output or your imagery output as well. So I'll just quickly run through some snapshots of our deployments that gives you a kind of feel of uh, how it would how it would be to deploy a drone in real life. But I won't spend too much time explaining. Probably you can put in your questions during Q&A. But I just want to highlight a few things over here. Here you see we have deployed Q6 in a Bolero with 5 people. We know that space and vehicles are always a constraint, right? So you see how it was easy to deploy. And you can, with BFL remote viewing, you can have people sitting, decision makers sitting in remote locations or in better equipped locations to monitor live operations. This was one forest fire case that we did in Karnataka. It gives you, this screenshot just give you an idea of how bird's eye view can really help you catch forest fires in this case very fast and give a quicker response time. So here essentially we work together with the forest rangers. The response time, which would have taken several hours usually, was reduced to a few minutes, right? The forest rangers typically have a very good idea about when these forest fires happen, what are the critical times, and the drones is just let's say like any other tool, right? If it's deployed in the right way, it can really enhance the productivity and make it safer for everyone to operate. This is our Switch UAV deployed at Kali Tiger Reserve. Again, you see we took Switch and Q6 both on a Bolero, deployed it from the edge of a island, and then we were tracking tigers over here at night. So I want to actually focus on this part here and leave it here today, where we deployed. I think one of our most successful deployments was with Abhilash sir, who has joined us today. And this was a complete end-to-end solution where we paired the Q6 UAV with our mapping payload, and on the Esri side scan and ArcGIS, various tools of ArcGIS. And we gave a beautiful solution where they could do tree counting and also some custom AIML algorithms. And finally, we gave this dashboard, right? So this is what it's all about. It's not so much about the drones. It's not so much about the data, but it's about empowering the officers who have to take decisions, right? And I think that's the most important thing, and that's what we can help you guys do. And I think I'll give it over to Samkith now to explain more about what we have deployed at Himachal and other places, right? And how the outcomes can be further enhanced. So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. I think we'll take it after everyone is done with their part of the presentation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Samkith.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Pradeep. Good afternoon, everyone. So Pradeep winded off quite fast. So there is a lot of material that we wanted to show, but we had to put a hard stop somewhere, right? So obviously drones are very interesting. Everybody has been working on it now. I see a lot of forest officials here. So almost all the departments here have been utilizing drones for various applications. And many of you are already existing Esri users, right? So you have been using Esri platform for various applications and use cases. So the idea behind this webinar was to mostly bridge that gap where you can put your existing GIS systems to use along with the drones that you are utilizing. Right. So I'll quickly start with a small presentation come demonstration, and then we'll move forward. So I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. So today you saw now how drones could be utilized for forestry related applications, and you saw the best in class drones in the country today, which are being used by several forestry authorities and officials. Right. So what ArcGIS or what Esri adds to it is something that I would like to talk about briefly. So when it comes to your data inputs, right? So may that be drones, may that be satellite imageries or aircraft-based imageries or any other sort of data, right? So it could be from Atlas, it could be from your other content providers, or it could be from your field data, right? So all of that could be collated, all of that could be brought under one single platform of Esri, right? And the data could be managed here. The data could be managed on your premises. It can be hosted online. It can be taken as services and whatnot. Right. And the second component that we have today, which is the most important one for today, is about reality mapping. Right. So you have all this content. You can integrate or you can bring in high resolution drone as well as satellite and manned aircraft imageries, process them, create high resolution maps, 2D and 3D data models of it, and use it along with your GIS. And what can you do with that? You can analyze that data. We have got hundreds of tools which you have been using extensively, right? So you use those tools, you analyze that data, use it for classification, change detection, right? So we also have some extensive deep learning and artificial intelligence kind of tools today that you can leverage to do those analytics. These analyzed data can be visualized by different individuals. So it could be for your field teams, it could be your decision-making authorities, it could be the coordinators, it could be GIS specialists, right? So all of them could visualize this data in the form of imagery, videos, right? As well as map and image data is what we call it, right? And then we have oriented imagery, we have stereo mapping, we have video related visualization that is all possible here. Right. So all of these, I would say, verticals combined together would help you in decision making to a very large extent. So you bring in different content, you bridge them all together, you bring in the reality mapping data, analyze it, and visualize it. So what kind of platforms and sensors do we support? We support aircrafts, drones, satellite imageries. We support sensors for visual imagery, thermal, multispectral, LiDAR, hyperspectral, and SAR as well, right? So you can find all of these kind of imageries on board drones today, right? So you saw how, you saw how visual, thermal, multispectral, and LiDAR are already there in the stack, and eventually hyperspectral and SAR would also come into the picture. Right, so you can use these imageries, process it on different applications on Esri within the Esri ecosystem, and use it for applications. Now, coming to drones for mapping, what we can do is we can use the Q6 drone or other ideaForge drones as well, right? We can use those drones. We can use it on a platform called SiteScan, and then we have ArcGIS drone to map. Then we have video server and full motion video. So you can use these tools here. You can take them. You can create 2D, 3D models. You can use it for your terrain analysis. Elevation data is available. You can bring in your elevation data sets. You can overlay this over your low resolution data, satellite imagery based elevation data sets if you have. You can capture videos, geospatial videos, which is a very interesting topic today, right? So rather than just using the conventional video files that we have today, we are using it for advanced geospatial applications where you can extract features from videos. Then we have multispectral data and hyperspectral data for health related analytics if you wish to do. You wish to monitor vegetation, you have simple RGB imagery, you have some vegetation indices within the RGB imagery ecosystem itself where you can monitor the vegetation. Then we have point cloud kind of data sets where high resolution 3D data of the canopies of tree trunks and all of that would be extracted out, and it can be used for several applications. Right? And then we have 3D modeling, which we call 3D mesh, which is popularly known as 3D mesh. You can create 3D maps of your assets, of your resources, and use it. So multiple applications within the Esri ecosystem help you do that. Now we have been facing queries where many organizations, many forestry departments have multiple drones at different regional levels, right? So at a particular DFO level, so almost all of them have at least 2 or 3 drones with them. And it becomes very difficult to track and trace and keep note and keep monitor the health of those drones. So we have a set of application where we can use we can track or we can make notes of all the drones that our system has, that the organization has, and monitor it for your health, for the where it is flying, who is flying it, and all those details could be tracked or recorded here on the fleet management solution. So any drone that you have within the organization can be monitored over a single dashboard for its health and other parameters that it has. So I would like to summarize this by mentioning that you can bring in the drone information. It could be in the form of photos or videos. You can use it on the cloud-based systems as well as on-premise systems within the Esri ecosystem. Right? You can push that data in. You can use it for reality mapping. You can create 2D, 3D assets of the data. You can also take that data further over ArcGIS image. Right? So what does ArcGIS image do here? We have several set of imagery related product suites where you bring in that information or the data sets that you have processed using ArcGIS, Reality, or any other platform. Right? You can bring that and you can use it for your insights. Right? So you can derive imagery related insights from that. So what you can do there, you can look for changes in the forestry, what was there 10 years ago and what is there today and how it has changed. Right? You can classify, you can use it for your LULC based classification and all. You can automatically extract features, right? You can detect objects there, you can detect features there, you can detect kind of trees and much more in that. And then you can also use it for point cloud classification. So I was mentioning about the 3D LiDAR data sets. So you can use those data sets to actually compute the volume related statistics as well using this. Apart from all this, apart from the imagery segment of it, you can capture, consume videos and make them geospatially enabled so that you can track, trace their locations and everything. So this is what the imagery segment does here. So you saw how the drone images are being captured. You capture those, you bring those data to the imagery derived insights for the end user, for the decision maker to analyze with this data. So this is how we have been moving from sensors to imagery derived insights. Now, without wasting much time, let us go to a couple of demonstrations. I've just enlisted a small set of demonstrations for you all so that you could see how this solution and how this platform could work. Right. So first of all, I would like to start with a small case study or a small demonstration which we did with Himachal Forest itself. Is there some trouble? I believe screen duplicate. Yeah, perfect. So you can see how we have used this platform to capture images. So these are the images that were captured using the Q6 drone on field, right? These images, individual images, could be seen over a web application or a web platform called SiteScan, right? So you can readily see these images here. So these individual images, which are geotagged in nature, you can see they rest on a physical base map, right? So all these images were processed together on the cloud without depending on any workstations or anything. And here we have the orthomosaic, elevation models, terrain models, right? So you can also generate contours out of this to understand how the terrain is and how it would move like, right? So you have this information readily with you on your screen so that you don't have to depend on multiple users within your department to get those insights from. Apart from that, you can also use these advanced data sets for other applications. So here I can zoom in and see there are some water reservoirs or water retaining structures constructed in this particular area, right? So this is the kind of insights that you can gather to a very high zoom levels as well. Moving forward, here we can see this high resolution point cloud image where we have a 3D data set of the entire area. You can see how it is changing dynamically. You can see where how the projects how the site is in 3D so that you could analyze, understand or analyze it better. Moving forward, you can bring in multiple team members of your organization within the single platform, right? So you can give access to multiple people so that they can use it, they can understand, and they can work on those data sets simultaneously, right? Without depending on the GIS cell existing there. So you can also capture high resolution 3D information. So one of the forest departments had this request where they wanted to understand the enclosed area better, right? So they wanted to understand if there are properly built houses with multiple stories, right? Height of the buildings as well was the requirement, which our solution was able to solve. We were also able to capture or trace out individual rooftop areas and all of that accurately, so that anybody from the field teams can reach there and take necessary action based on the insights that are gathered using the drone survey that was. So you can clearly see the area is about 394 square meters. So that much area, that much huge area has been taken out here. Moving forward, you can also analyze the terrain by taking cross sections, by taking measurements and cross sections like this, so that you understand your terrain better and plan probably water retaining structures and multiple other construction related and water related activities could be carried out. Now I would like to go to other demonstrations for plantation. So we had this a site was identified by one of your forest departments for plantation related activities. So we identified a site. We, along with ideaForge, were there on the field, captured some imageries over there. Yeah, here it is. So we captured about 689 images there. Drone images were captured. These were processed, and a high resolution orthomosaic was generated. Now, the challenge with this particular site was that it was very difficult to monitor the plantation there. I mean, they were very small planters which were planted, but then eventually with time it would get rotten or it would get spoiled. Right. So what we did was, along with RGB, we used multispectral imagery as well here. Right. We calculated vegetation indices here. Right. So precise vegetation indices were identified, and you can clearly see the individual sapling pits are clearly visible here. So these individual pits were again analyzed for health, and we were able to capture spectral profiles. So what does this mean? We were able to identify which of these saplings are healthy and which of them are not. So if you notice in this graph, the dark green color, the green color is one which is of healthy health. It's of good health, right? And the red one is of poor health and needs immediate assessment or immediate attention towards it. So this is how we were able to identify the health of individual saplings, which was. Moving forward, we also try to estimate the biomass of the area. So what we did was we captured we captured LiDAR data on the ground for a very small patch, right? And then we also took multispectral imagery from the satellite as another set of input. We used both of these imageries along with the field samples, right? So we physically were there on the ground, we collected data. The field samples were collected for certain parameters. So all of this data combined together was extrapolated, was processed together, right? Where we used extraction of trees from LiDAR, tree height, tree canopy health, and all of that, right? So all of this data was extrapolated, and we were sort of able to get the total carbon or the total biomass of that area, right? So we were able to extract the biomass of that area and also use it for carbon sequestration kind of studies. Apart from all this, so this is how you have seen the imagery information being used. Now, along with the imagery information, we can also use it for geospatial video related analytics. So what do we mean by geospatial video related analytics? Is that we capture high resolution videos from the drones today, right? We use those videos and we bring in this videos over geospatial platform like this, right? So where we have these videos, we can very cleverly or very easily trace the path of the videos where the drone is flying and where the data is being captured, right? So that here we could see out of these videos the wild animals moving here, and the same could be reflected over a map so that we could digitize and pick up those extract those specific locations of the animals that were there on the video. So this is how we have been able to use these drones along with the GIS application and host it on the web GIS apps. So I would like to invite Mr. Abhilash Damodaran sir to this webinar here, and I would like to ask him to present his slides and information. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Samkith. Just a second, I'll just share it. Just a second.
Sure. So, meanwhile, as he shares, I would just like to talk a bit about this organization and the opportunity that we ran. So here, ideaForge and Esri's GIS solution, as well as ideaForge's drones, were being jointly used. It has been a couple of years now since they have been using it, and Abhilash sir has been one of the most tech-savvy forest officials that we have come across, and he took this initiative that we would like to bring in changes, right? So we do not want just regular videography and photography with drones, and we do not want the conventional GIS that we do. And he made this effort to bridge both of these technologies together and bring out some amazing use cases and solutions from the department. So over to you, sir. We can see your slides.
Yeah, thank you. So the most of the things have already been discussed by the previous speakers, but still I would just I must admit that I am not a technical GIS guy or a drone technology guy, but yeah, definitely I'm more interested in the utility part of it. So I will be just discussing how the Himachal Pradesh Forest Department is using drone technology combined with the software, then the data analysis software that Esri has provided to us. So obviously, as we have already discussed, that an array of works, an array of monitoring works and related works are possible by using the UAV technology. So some of them are, monitoring of works like soil and water conservation activities in the field, monitoring the afforestation efforts of the forest department. And when we speak about forest protection, monitoring mining is one of the most important things that we do in the forest department. It's a big headache physically going to these places, and the drones do help us a lot in monitoring illegal mining activities. We can also detect intruders in the forest areas, be it during the day or in the night. We can also detect encroachments, and obviously the forest fire monitoring. And forest fire monitoring, we have, once we get the alert from the Forest Survey of India that there is a forest fire, we immediately move to the location, and then with the help of drones, we can identify the extent of fire, the intensity of fire, the routes that can take us to the origin point of the fire, or the places or the locations where we can carry out counter fire operations. Plus, once the fire is extinguished, it is very important to monitor the post fire scenario, whether still some smoke is coming out, whether still some active micro fire points
sorry
are
to
there.
interrupt, sir. If you can share in slideshow mode, because we are still seeing the very first slide of your presentation.
Actually, I have shared the slide share mode only.
So if you could just press F8, I think you are projecting it as screen extension probably. You could duplicate the presentation.
F8 I have pressed. It's nothing happening.
Sir, could you please share your entire screen? When you only share the application, sometimes there is a problem.
Yeah, I was sharing entire. I'll just share entire screen. Just a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it visible now?
It is taking it. Just give us a minute.
I think it's just coming up. We see it in presentation mode.
I'm on the third slide.
Yes, sir. Could you go to the present mode there?
Yeah, I'm in the present mode. I'm in the presentation mode. Or if you have, you can play from there and I can speak from here.
No, sir, we can continue. It's okay. You can try once the full screen.
So still I'm on the first slide?
No, you are on the third slide.
Yeah, right.
Can you see at the bottom was line, if you could see notes there, notes 100%. Right, so you have got a presentation button there. If you could present your full screen, that would be great. If not, this is all right.
Show presenter view.
No, so I think it's okay. You can continue like this.
You can
We are
continue
able to
like
see
this,
it.
I
That's
think.
all.
Yeah. So I was speaking about the forest fire. So monitoring the fire, post-fire scenario is very, very important. Whether there are any hidden smoke coming out or hidden fire coming out, or whether it has been completely extinguished. And after it has been extinguished completely, the drones help us to identify, help us to measure the exact burnt area. Right now, what we used to do is ocular estimation, but with the availability of drones, uh, we can go for aerial mapping, and then we can assess the exact burnt area, and subsequently these areas can be marked on the map, and they can be periodically monitored as to what is happening with the burnt area, whether it is recuperating, whether the vegetation is coming back, and if yes, how it is coming and how much time it is taking. Obviously, encroachment detection, it was said, and then we are also using it for disaster management. Last year, July, August, we had massive floods and landslides in the state, during which lots a few lives were also lost, and lots of damage to public property and private property as well happened. So the drones were used to assess the landslide situation, the accessibilities. It came in handy. It came in very handy for us. And as far as drone, the biggest application of drones that I see today is mapping, and various patterns, various criteria in the mapping can be done, like mapping the land use pattern, habitat characterization, change monitoring, how the land use is changing over a period of time, decision making tool in planning, especially when we prepare our working plans. If for those who don't know about the forest department's working, I would like to tell them that we have something known as a working plan, which is made for a division or a district, and this working plan has got a period of 10 years, and it is an intensive plan that takes quite long time, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years to make. But with availability of drone mapping, the period of making this working plan can be significantly reduced, and the quality and the quantity of data that can be generated and analyzed to arrive at decisions can be uh, is immense. It is just like it's unlimited. It's very, very important, very crucial in planning process. Earlier Samkith spoke about tree count, and we are also looking forward. Tree count is one thing, and then nowadays we are speaking about carbon stock and growing stock. So I am sure that with slight tweaking of the site scan or the ArcGIS platform that has been provided, a slight tweaking, a slight more machine learning, a new plugin or a new feature can be added, which can also estimate the biomass, which can estimate the standing growing stock of the forest. So this will be like a big blessing. Knowing about the growing stock, how much cubic meter of biomass is there in the forest, and what is the carbon that is lying there inside the forest would be it would be magical for us. And obviously the lidar payload capability of these drones are just awesome. So I will just show pictures of some practical examples, the utility that we are uh, making use of in the field. This is a road widening project going on, and muck dumping. This is a muck dumping site, and muck dumping is a very big headache, which is being monitored by the Honorable Supreme Court and the Honorable High Court. That muck dumping should be scientific, and it should not be done here and there. The sites are designated. The Forest Department designates the sites, and then the PWD or the National Highways Authority or any user agency, they are.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I think it's not showing. What I'll do is I'll share I have the PPT, so I'll
yeah,
share.
yeah. Please.
Yeah. So if you can stop sharing, I'll share, and then you can just tell me when to go
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
Sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah. So I was speaking about mud dumping, and this is a site in Nurpur Forest Division. Uh, uh, Mud dumping needs to be monitored. Honorable Supreme Court and the High Court, they are very particular about mud dumping because it has got devastating effects on the environment. So the National Highways Authority and the PWD are given designated sites where they are supposed to dump muck in a very scientific manner. But the problem is that it happens very haphazardly, and it becomes, with lots and lots of muck dumping sites here and there, it becomes very difficult for us to monitor the muck dumping. So using the drones, we are monitoring this, like every week or every month we fly the drones, and then if the drones help us to detect any kind of change from the designated site or the designated size of the site, how they are dumping the muck and what is the dimension of the muck dumping, all these things can be easily measured. If a particular muck dumping has got a capacity of 500 cubic meters, then that we can easily measure using drones and the mapping facility that we have. But otherwise, physically, it takes lots and lots of time to see whether the user agencies are complying to the muck dumping directions. Next one, please. Yeah, this is how we monitoring water harvesting. So these are two water harvesting structures that were constructed in Unna Forest Division, and they were desilted, they were cleaned, and now we are waiting for the rains to come. And once we fly after the rains, we will come to know what is the impact of our activity on the ground using drone. In this area, there are similar structures. There are several similar structures. So rather than going to each and every structure, we would be able to monitor. We would be able to get an information about what is the situation, what is the status of these water harvesting structures just by one single flight. Next one, please. The plantation sites we mentioned about was earlier mentioned. The first site, you can see there are lots of pits. So this is also quite young right now. So once in the first photograph, you can see there are lots of small pits. You can see those black spots. They're actually pits that are used for planting. So it was just planted. So now they are not quite visible. But yeah, when we zoom in on the software, then obviously we would be able to see each and every plant, because the sensors that are there on the ideaForge drone, they are very high definition, high resolution sensors, and each and every plant can be seen if at all we want to zoom. Then second site, you can see people working. This is when the plantations were happening. The third site also. And now maybe this year after the monsoon, we will fly. When we fly over it, we come to know what is the performance of the plantation, whether there is good survival. And we can, with the deep learning feature, we can even count the number of plants that are surviving, the number of pits that were actually dug, and out of that, how many plants are surviving. All those things can be determined, estimated based on the deep learning feature of the software. Next one. Otherwise, this activity would take us, for estimating the survival percentage of a plantation, it would typically take us half a day. And so with so many plantations around, it is quite cumbersome and time consuming. But yeah, the use of drones will help us. And then change detection. Somebody, I think Pradeep, mentioned about change detection, change monitoring. So this is a particular site in Paonta Sahib Forest Division where we have deployed ideaForge drones. This is a particular how the site is changing. If you can just see the first photograph, you can see on the top side, on the top 1/3, you can see these are the paths that were used by illegal sand mining mafia. Yeah, exactly. And on the right, you can see now those paths have been planted with trees. And you can also see how the site has changed once protection activities were intensified in this area. So the field stuff, the first photograph is that of 2021 and the second one is 2022. So you can just see how the change is happening in these places. You can just see how the change is happening. And this is one wonderful feature that the forest department looks forward to tap, how things are changing before and after intervention. Next one. Yeah, as I said, that last year we had huge landslides and heavy rainfall and floods. And it was this time that because of the landslide and torrential rainfalls, huge number of trees were uprooted from remote areas, inaccessible areas, and they just, they just rolled down with the muck and debris of the landslides. They just came down and they entered into the rivers, and they were of huge quantity. Just near my office, the Ravi River, just near my office, I could just, I was just like surprised. At least thousands of logs were flowing through the river. And the Honorable Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh was very much interested. What is happening? How much wood is being wasted like this? What can we do? How much? Give me an assessment. So obviously, we deployed the drones in some selected places, and you can see the first photograph, the bottom middle part, you can just see the wood is accumulated there in the river. This is Nurpur Forest Division. And the right one, you can see it is Chamba Forest Division, a small part of the river, a curve in the river. So we could just make a rough estimate quickly that what could be the extent of the problem that we are facing. And we also identified the locations from where, like, it's not easy to collect wood from the flowing river. We need to identify a certain portion of the bank, of the river bank, from where the wood can be easily removed and put on the river bank without causing, threat to human life, the people who are collecting it. So we need to identify such sites. So drones were used in some of these places to identify the locations at which this wood can be retrieved, and also to get a rough idea of what is the extent of the problem that we are facing. Next one, please. Yeah, and this is, in Himachal Pradesh, the felling of kher trees. The kher is a valuable tree, and the felling of kher trees is allowed from private lands, but there is such a huge problem. In the garb of felling kher trees from the private lands once in 10 years, it is allowed only once in 10 years. In the garb of felling trees from the private land, the unscrupulous mafia, what they do is they also fell trees from the forest areas. So to keep a tab on them, this type of flights were taken, wherein their operations were monitored. What are they doing? In which part are they felling? And the private lands where the felling is happening, the forests in the immediate vicinity were being continuously monitored, whether any trees are being felled there. Because using drones, we can easily detect if some trees are felled. If yesterday I have flown a drone, and after 7 days, if I'm flying it again over there, I can easily detect what is happening. So this is an area where trees were felled, gaps were created, and you can see the kher timber that has been stacked over there. So this kind of monitoring, and if we see any, like I'm flying it 5 days back, and today again I'm flying, and if I see any change in the dimensions of the wood stacked there, that means something nasty is happening there. So it helps us to perform forest protection activities also efficiently. Next one, please. So this is a place called as Noradhar, the left one. How we used drones for watershed planning, watershed management planning. You can see the drainage lines on the right side. This is a place in Bilaspur where ideaForge drones were used, and site scan software, RGS software, were used to analyze it. The software doesn't only help us to identify the drainage line, it also identified the micro watershed to which the drainage belongs to. So this helps us immensely in making a plan for implementing soil conservation activities. On the right, you can see the red spots. Those red spots are the locations suggested by the software, the machine, where we can construct certain check dams or soil conservation and water conservation structures. So this is quite very useful, like very useful. Using technology for decision making and planning is very useful, and this is a new avenue that has opened up. The next one. This is land use uh, types in place in a panchayat. It's a panchayat. This is an area of a panchayat near Nohradhar in Sirmaur district of Himachal Pradesh. You can see how the land use, they were identified and differentiated into agricultural land and some concrete structures and water and roads and open areas. And these are the very open areas. When we superimpose the forest boundaries on this map, I'm sorry, I don't have that right now. I said because I'm not a techie, so I don't know how to use these softwares. But definitely the people who were there with me when I was posted as CCF IT in the headquarters, I had guys there with me to help me out with this. But in the field, I don't have a GIS lab or a professional with me, so I couldn't do that. But once when I superimpose my forest boundaries over this map, I exactly know where I need to go for planting. Which are the areas that I need to take up planting and which type of planting, whether high density planting or low density planting. Next one, please. Yeah, this is another map. This is, one pixel is 1 hectare, 1 square is 1 hectare, or 1 grid is 1 hectare. So how the forest density, how the tree density, the canopy density of the area is distributed. And when I'm going for high density plantations, I need to go for those light green grids. And when I'm going for enrichment planting, like high density planting would be typically 1100 plants per hectare that we need to plant, and enrichment planting varies from 500. The dark green, the mild dark green maybe 800 plants per hectare, and the darker green maybe 500 plants per hectare. And then the darkest green and all, there we need not do planting. Instead of planting, what we just need to do is protect those areas. So we can divide the areas into, or we can make zones. We can do zonation in the operation area as the areas that need to be protected, areas that need to be mildly afforested, and areas that need to be intensively afforested. Next one, please. Yeah, the tree count already, I think Samkith or Pradeep, either of them just mentioned about this tree count. This is in Bilaspur, where ideaForge drones were deployed. And I would like to inform Samkith as well as Pradeep that we did a ground truthing also. We counted the trees here physically, and we were very happy to see that almost the accuracy was 85%.
Great.
Physical. So I think with repeated learnings, I think this 85% accuracy can increase more. It can increase more, but it will be a problem in those forests where multi-story trees are there. For that, instead of the normal payload, we need to have LiDAR payload. Next one, please. This is a part of Simbalwada National Park in Himachal Pradesh, and the work is still ongoing. Like the flying has been completed. After the flying has been completed, now the data analysis, the mapping, the image processing, and all are going. This is a small ortho map of a particular region inside the national park. If you carefully observe this map, this ortho image, you can see there are different types of vegetation involved here. Now, one thing that the software doesn't provide us right now is differentiating between vegetation type. It will identify the entire area as vegetated area or forested area. But within the forested area, what we are looking for is how the vegetation can be differentiated. If you can see in the center, you can see some dark green patches, some dark green areas. They are one kind of forest. Those forests are composed of certain kind of species A, B, C, D. Then you can see the lighter forest. They are species E, F, G, H. And then towards the southeast part of the image, you can see the darker green portions. They are of different species. There are some other species. So if the software can pick up through deep learning, if the software can pick up these differences in the vegetation, then we can come out with beautiful habitat characterization maps. There are different types of habitats. So how we can manage these habitats? A map of these habitats, different types of habitats, a mosaic of habitats, will be very much useful in preparing the wildlife management plan for Simbalwada National Park or any other protected area. Next one, please. Yeah, and 3 years back, we tried LiDAR in a part of Dharamshala Forest Division in Kangra. So just some images and some outcomes of that particular LiDAR mapping. It was done over an area of 90 square kilometers. So next, this is the cloud point. Next one. So this is the DEM and the DSM of the study site that was generated through the LiDAR technology. Next one. A closer view of the DSM. You can see how beautifully the DSM this DSM appears, and it's so easy for us to decide what activity I am supposed to do in which part, exact location where I need to do some intervention, be it a very small intervention like a check dam, or be it an afforestation, or be it something else. It's so handy. Next one. So using the LiDAR mapping, we came out with the land use and drainage map and a set of other kind of maps. I have not included those maps here for the sake of time. Next one. So before I wind up, what I would just like to impress upon all the participants here is that, drone technology, when combined with artificial intelligence, as we know now, it has opened new vistas in forest and wildlife management. We have just made a beginning, and now there are so many other fields, so many other sectors in forestry and wildlife management itself, that we need to explore a lot. Lots of opportunities are there, and we need to work together, and we are always willing. Right now, I'm not in the headquarters, I'm not looking after IT, but definitely I'm posted in Chamba, so I would request ESRI and ideaForge to do visit us at Chamba. We are planning to work on spring shed management. We are planning to map the spring sheds. So I would invite you guys to come over to Chamba and help us with spring shed, and maybe your visit can lead to some new innovations in your software. So that's all what I have to tell from my side. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for this insightful session, sir. Frankly, Pradeep and I, when we were discussing that we would bring in sir, so we were not aware how updated would you be with the current drone operations that are happening there. But then looking at your presentation, there were so many new and interesting insights that even we could gather, right? Being just the technical experts and not the forestry experts, there were so many new technologies and new applications that you were able to cover here, which is very interesting for all of us industry peers as well, sir. So I think we had started working with you about 2 years ago, and the kind of progress that you have done. I remember the initial conversations that we had. How will we be able to fly the drone? How easy it would be for us to get adapted to the drone technologies and all of that, right? Starting from those conversations to this, how has the journey been, sir? And how easy was it for you to adapt with drones and mapping and all of these aspects of it, sir?
It was not a smooth ride. Because we were doing it for the first time, and as usual, motivating the staff and the confidence, the very fact that the drone is 30 plus lakh rupees, that itself creates a kind of fear among our field staff. What if it just crashes? What if it just breaks down? Or what if something happens to it? That phobia, we had to remove that. Nothing will happen, and even if something happens, there are people to help us out, so don't worry about all these things. So that was the first step that we needed to do. And the intensive training, again, ideaForge provided lots of training to us. Similarly, SRI also provided us our GIS lab technicians with the necessary training to handle the software, the data, the image processing and analysis part was taken care of by them. And then it was like, instilling them, giving them opportunity to work in the field and then do the analysis. So it was not so easy. And once we also had a drone crash because of battery problems, but immediately the batteries were replaced by ideaForge, and now they are working very well. And getting things, the biggest problem is that making the forest officers also aware that drones have got huge potential in the field. So that's also very, very important. So training for the officers is also a must. And if ESRI can look into these kind of things like drone applications and software applications in forestry, if you can organize a kind of training, wherein the officers at the divisional level, the divisional forest officers, it would be a great thing, because even now they are not much aware that what are the possibilities with drones. So unless and until a divisional forest officer in the field monitors his or her staff, motivates them, and asks and demands from them that this is what I want. There are a couple of mapping drones in the GIS lab, but there is demand for them. The people sitting in the field, the DFOs and the conservators, they should demand certain things from the GIS lab. That look, now that like I'm planning for a spring shed management, and I need very good 3D maps, and I need a very good all those planning process that we spoke about a few moments ago. I need that. So I should be demanding the GIS lab. They won't be doing it by themselves. So that demand has to come from the field, and that will come only when the field officers are aware of the possibilities of drone technology.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for all these insights. And now over to you, Dhanraj. Probably we have some questions. We could take one or two questions. I think we are already running short of
We've
time.
already breached our threshold, but we have 2-3 questions that we can quickly go through. One question from Robert is, what happens when there is no internet connection in remote areas or ground survey site? Does the drone data get stored offline in the Blue Live system and later get uploaded to the cloud when there is connection?
Pradeep, would you like to take this?
Yeah. So to answer this, yes, if you want to, so the drone data by itself is already stored on the ground control station, GCS. If you are streaming it, you do need internet at both ends, but Bluefire Live works with very low bandwidth as well. As low as 2 Mbps is sufficient to stream the data. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. One more is, what is true ortho under reality mapping category? How does it differ from the usual ortho rectification process?
Yes, sir. So to put it to you in simple terms, so true ortho is a slightly modified kind of an ortho mosaic that we used to conventionally get, right? So from that, so in true ortho, we do not have structural leans, and the quality of it is much more improved without having structural leans. So you have the positional accuracy and all of that to a very large, with a very large enhancement. So that is what true ortho is. So all the Esri products today that are there for photogrammetry, right? So automated photogrammetry that we have today is all based out of Reality engine, right? So ArcGIS Reality is the core engine behind all of that, which generates true ortho.
Another question, I think Samkith, you might be able to take this up. How long does it take for 1 square kilometer area to be processed in the cloud when using SiteScan?
So this again, I would say, considering ideal parameters, I would like to answer this. Although I'm sure everybody would understand it is a dynamic thing, right? So based on the resolution, based on the height, based on the image size, and all of that. But in generic terms, I think it would take about 4 to 5 hours to process about 1 square kilometer of area. But the beauty of cloud-based processing is, let's say you have 100 such sites, right? So at different locations and different teams being capturing it and using it, right? So all the processing would happen parallelly, and still you would get all the outputs together in just 4 to 5 hours. So that is the beauty of cloud processing.
One more question we have is,
Are area and linear measurements like road lengths correctly represented or calculated compared to conventional ground measurements using images captured by drones? If not, how much is the error or difference? So generally the error is in terms is in the order of about centimeters. About 5 centimeter is the, if the resolution is about 5 centimeters, so your error in XY is generally about 10 centimeters, and error in Z is about 20 centimeters, right? So this is a generic accuracy.
That is absolute accuracy. So the relative accuracy when you're measuring elements will be even better, right? So it will essentially be close to the ground sampling distance that we have.
So accuracy
I
is
think Mr. Robert Silo wants to know how does the measurement, the accuracy vary between the conventional ground measurement. So what our experience is that it all depends on how we are measuring on the ground. When we measure on the ground, maybe the path of the measurement might be slightly different. There are human errors. So as of now, not much difference is there. Maybe, if we are measuring some 20 meter or 30 meter, maybe hardly less than half a meter of error is expected. But when we use the digital measurement methods, we do mention in the corner or somewhere, we do mention that it has been digitally measured. So we do mention that the areas that we measure it, when we measure it physically on the ground, is different, and the difference is usually less than 1% or so, less than 1%.
I hope that answers your question, sir, Mr. Robert Silo. So I think there's another question by Mr. Ashish Bist mentioning, is there any tutorial or any help from you guys on how to create mosaics of hyperspectral sensor image captured via drone? We have faced some issues while capturing hyperspectral images using drone inside a forest patch. So yes, this is a slightly complex question, right? So hyperspectral imagery with the drone itself is a challenge because of the positional accuracy, IMU accuracies, and all of that, right? But yeah, if you have some data set and if you're willing to create mosaics or something like that, and yeah, we could. I mean, you can just write to us on info@esri.in. We would like to schedule a demonstration with you if possible and get to the.
I have a personal question. I have a private question.
Yes.
It is, do you train staff to fly drone and process data, say to measure area of mud dumping? Yes, it's from Mr. Devendra Pandey. Yes, Mr. Devendra, we do have trained them. All our drone pilots, they have been trained at the drone flying, the DGCA approved drone flying schools. They have got the RPAS license, number one. Number two, they were also trained by ideaForge to handle the equipments, to do troubleshooting. And it was a 5-day long training, and they have promised us to support further in this. So on flying drone, there is on the part of flying drone, there is no issue. We have sufficient training, and the measurements and data analysis. Yeah, the people, the technicians who are there in our GIS lab, the Forest Department GIS lab, they have been trained by Esri in using SiteScan and associated softwares. Now, what we are looking forward is that it would be good that if we have 2 or 3 trained professionals among the existing staff strength in each and every division, so that every time they need not go to the GIS lab, they can, some small measurements, the routine kind of measurements and all can be done in the field itself. So we are looking forward to that kind of training, and we'll get in touch with Esri for that in the coming days.
Sure, sir. We would be happy to help you around that. So yeah, training is an integral part of both our Esri as well as ideaForge cultures, right? So any hardware or software procurements happen, so it is always attached with trainings, necessary training for the utilization of it, right? And you can see examples here in many forest agencies as well. So I believe over to you, Dhanraj.
Yeah, I think most of the questions have been answered, and people have stayed on till well past the scheduled time. Thank you very much. I have also dropped a link in the chat for any one of you who would like to have a longer conversation with the teams. Please fill out that form. We'll be happy to schedule some time and have a deeper, a lengthier discussion around what your use cases possibly may be. And thank you once again, Abhilash sir, for taking the time out.
Thank you. Thank you. Always welcome.
An extremely insightful demonstration of all the use cases. Thank you, Pradeep, for the drone perspective, and Samkith for the GIS perspective. And thank you once again to all attendees who have stayed on till now. Wish you a very good rest of the day. and we'll be sending the recording of this session to you in the next few days. So please be on the lookout for that in your inbox. Thank you once again, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.